Thank you, everyone, for taking out the time of your out of your busy week to join us today. So really appreciate that. So I'm Gayatri, and I lead branded content at Onsurity. So setting up today's context, is something I will take you forward to. So let's talk about something that we all go through at some point of time in our lives. Is something like who here hasn't had that moment where you feel a little ache or twig in your body, and you, instead of brushing it off, you just start thinking, could this something be serious, kind of thing. So we all have been at that point of time, and naturally we do what like most people do these days, is we straight away go to Google, and before you know it, we are down with a rabbit hole of worst case scenarios. And suddenly the slight headache or fatigue makes us think, what if it's cancer? The more we read, the more we are convinced that we have very like symptoms like cancer. We go from like it's probably nothing to I'm definitely dying in just few minutes, right? And then we start feeling even more anxious, thinking, why didn't I catch this earlier? But we don't need to panic or jump to these conclusions. That's exactly why we are here today, to clear up some of these worries and doubts and help you get a better understandings of the facts. So we're going to talk about how our daily habits impact our health, particularly cancer risk, and how small changes can make a huge difference. And since it's a cancer awareness month, so it's a perfect time to focus on the things we can do to take charge of our health, whether it's through lifestyle adjustments, regular screenings, or simply being more mindful of our well-being. So we are fortunate enough to have Dr. Hamsavardhini, who leads an incredible team of good doctors here at Onsurity. She'll share her expertise and help us break down some of these myths around cancer and health. Before we jump into that, let me quickly introduce Dr. Hamsavardhini. She has over like 14 years of experience across the clinical and insurance sector. Her journey began back in 2007, and since then, she's worked in a cancer research, contributed to publications in medical journals, and has been spreading cancer awareness in schools, colleges, and corporate settings. And she has a talented team of good doctors here at Onsurity, and she's passionate about helping people understand how lifestyle choices affect cancer risk and how we can all take it better care of our health. So without a further ado, let's welcome Dr. Hamza. It's great to have you with us tonight. Heading over to you, doctor.
Yeah, hi, Gayatri. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for providing me this opportunity. As you rightly said, February month, the one which is going to upcome is National Cancer Prevention Month across the world. Earlier, probably 50, 60 years back, the diabetes and the BP were very rare diseases. If somebody says, I have diabetes and BP, people used to get shocked. But now it's become a lifestyle disease. Similar way, because of our lifestyle and because of the the modern advancements in technology and the science, the way we live our lives has now led to a situation where each and every door around us, we get to know one person diagnosed with cancer very recently, or probably they might be suffering on that. So it's a great opportunity for me to make the people aware. All our attendees could be an eye opener for them and could help in any way. So to start with, cancer, the word itself is very scary, right? As soon as people hear, the predominant thing that comes to the mind is death, right? So first, let us break all those myths. Let us understand what is cancer, how do we prevent it, and how do we well take care of it. So cancer is a disease, right? But death is not always a end. So death is a myth, right? I'll talk about this upcomingly. And then it is contagious. So people think that it spreads from one person to another. There are certain myths where people believe in such way. So cancer is not contagious. It doesn't spread from one person to another. And then costly treatments. Definitely, yes, people think, cancer, okay, I have to, sell my old assets. I have to send, all my savings will be wiped off. Yes, but, a disease that comes costly is obviously going to treat us also in a very costly way. Not all the treatments are costly, right? The chemotherapy, the basic treatments are all at a nominal range. Radiation therapy is at a higher level. When you go to immunotherapy, targeted therapy, the advanced treatments, stem cell and all, probably the treatment cost increases. And then genetical, right? So many people have the fear, okay, in my family, my aunt or my mother or my father was diagnosed with cancer, so I have all the chances of getting it. And then family and emotional pressure. So apart from the member who is being diagnosed with cancer, it takes a lot of turmoil on the family, the friends, and the support system, because their pain, they bear it, but we also have to travel along with them, provide them the support, because anybody who hears that if I'm diagnosed with cancer, they become psychologically weak, because as I said, they think about, okay, my life is going to end probably another 5 years or 10 years or even 6 months. So the whole family undergoes this emotional and pressure. So first, let's understand basically what is cancer. So cancer is nothing. So in our body, we have something called as cells. So basically, this 1 divides to 2, 2 divides to 4, 4 divides to 8, 8 divides to 16, 16 becomes 32, 64, it goes. And at one point, the body says, stop. So the cell division stops there. So a tissue, an organ gets formed. But what happens in cancer cell is, the cells keep multiplying. There is no checkpoint. So what happens in a place where I can accommodate only 100 cells, there are 1,000 cells. So they form a very big lump. And, this lump cannot be sustaining in one place. So after a certain point of time, they start moving to different parts of the organs. So that is how the cancer cells starts forming in the body. So it is our own cells where without any check, it gets progressing. So that is what I have mentioned here. So mainly, how does this cancer cell spread? So if one part of the organ, if it's affected, the cells move via lymph nodes. So you all would have heard about arteries, veins, nerves. So there's something called as a lymphatic system. So the lymphatic system is present in the neck, on your axils, on your pelvic. So what does this lymphatic system does? It pulls out all the toxics, drains, and throw it out. So what happens is this cancer cells travel through those lymphatic system, and from one place, from liver, it goes and gets lodged in the lung, or from liver, it goes and gets lodged in the kidneys. So this is how the cancer spreads within our body. So now the question comes, right? So Gayatri, you can, rule out the poll to understand from the members. So how many of you think that cancer is genetic? So people think, yes, it's genetic completely, but 8% of the cancer is only genetic. The remaining 92% of the cancer is due to our lifestyle modifications that we have done, thinking it is an advancement for us, right? So hereditary cancers are very few. One is a breast cancer, colon cancer, colon means intestinal cancers, retinoblastoma that comes in the eye, and familial polyposis is a very rare cancer. So only these cancers involve the hereditary, genetic genes involved in the body, which can get transmitted because one person had the same, the grandfather had, the grandson might get the same gene, or aunt had. So, the nephew or niece can have the same gene. Otherwise, these cancers doesn't occur immediately. But the rest of the 92% of the cancer is non-genetic. So this is how the mutation happens. As I said, the normal cell, gets mutated and it forms a cancer cells. So there is no stop cycle for the cell to stop growing. Apart from that, the major reason is immune system, right? We are all an advanced society, but how many of you, I don't know, who would leave your kids to play on the mud, sand, touch the water, go to the roads and play? Why? Because we are being overprotective. So our immune systems are generally very less compared to the previous generation. And if there are any persons who have autoimmune diseases or HIV, these people are also more prone for cancer, because when the immune system goes down, so the cancer cells can start progressing. So I'll talk about the genetical factor in the next coming slide. So how many of you know virus and bacteria can cause cancer? So Gayatri, I think you can release that poll as well.
Yeah, I'll publish the result.
People think virus causes common cold, flu, COVID, chikungunya, dengue. These are the things that we generally think about virus and bacteria when the word comes to us, but not necessarily. There are certain viruses which can cause cancer. So there are viruses called as HPV, human papilloma virus, which causes cervical cancer in women. There are hepatitis B viruses which can cause liver cancer. Then there is Epstein-Barr virus. There is leukemia virus, which causes blood cancer in the T cells of our blood. Similar way, we have bacteria called as H. pylori bacteria, right? Which is, the predominant after the gastritis, gastric ulcer, peptic ulcer, and all. Post that, we end up in cancer of the stomach or esophagus. So virus and bacteria also plays a major role. So what could be the other causes? So whatever I have briefed now is, genetically and within the body with the pathogens, but there are other outside factors that causes cancer, right? So majorly the topmost goes for the using of consumption of alcohol, tobacco, plastics, right? Pollutions, right? So the first one is lifestyle and other factors. So when I say lifestyle, so as I said, people now use the word stress. So what is stress? Nothing but we couldn't cope up with our daily activities. That is simple stress because of our failing to plan our day, failing to plan our week properly. So what do we end up in? We end up in smoking, drinking, right? Any amount of alcohol, any amount of tobacco is not accredited by any of the medical practitioners that yes, it is a safe level. No, it is absolutely no safe. Then second, coming to the lifestyle diseases disorders, what we find it, major thing comes when sleep pattern gets disturbed. So many of us, due to our work, we are awake all through the night and then we go to the bed in the early morning, right? We think, okay, the 8 hours if I sleep, I'm compensating my body. Well, that is not wrong. But we need to understand the body in nature, like if you people just think about it, birds, animals, plants, anything in this nature. If you see after 6:30, it shut downs. And morning 4:30, they wake up, right? Including sun, moon, planets. So if you see that, Sunday, sun doesn't give a late, right? It doesn't come rises at 9 o'clock saying it's Sunday today for me. But we do that, right? Why? Because we are not aware of the body's mechanism. So body has something called as a circadian rhythm, right? The body functions along with the nature. So morning 4 o'clock, when you wake up, the pituitary gland starts functioning. So if you're sleeping at that time, your pituitary hormone is going to get affected, right? Same way till evening sunset, all our glands will work. After sunset, what does happen is we will finish our dinner. Ideally, the time to have dinner is by around 7 o'clock. But many of us wouldn't have it possible to finish it by 7. But let us not delay further after 9 p.m. So 9 p.m., the food intake to the body should be stopped, right? What happens? Why am I stressing on that? Is because when you sleep, right, the body has a natural ability to undergo repair. It repairs itself from morning. Whatever harm you have done, the body automatically repairs it during our sleep cycle, because at the sleep, all our organs will function very slowly in a very rhythmic pattern, and the body will go for a complete repair. So the next day you would be a better person, rejuvenated person. But what happens? We are skipping the sleep cycle. Many of us, right, till 11:30, 12, we would be on phones, watching YouTube, Insta, Facebook, whatever social media we have, right? And then in between also we might think, okay, I'm trying to sleep, putting my phone off, but I'm not getting sleep. So again, I pick up the phone and I scroll, right? What happens when we constantly do this is the brain and the body thinks when they see light, okay, this is daytime, I have to function. So basically, it cannot understand that is a phone light or a natural light or a LED light. Anything that is light, which is observed by the eyes, the brain thinks it has to be active. So we are putting our body into more and more trouble by just doing all these things. So when we follow a sleep pattern, our body will be into control. Next, alcohol, as I said, there is no specific level of alcohol which is safe, for anybody to consume. Alcohol is not a accredited one to consume. Then tobacco. So tobacco, as in not only smoking, tobacco in any form is not acceptable. So microplastics. So what are these microplastics? When I say, probably you people will think about, I'm talking about the plastic bottles, Tupperware, plastic covers that we use. Absolutely, you could think about that. But I'm not talking about that, right? How many of you know the water that you consume has microplastic? How many of you know that, the rice that you consume has microplastics? So these are very nanoparticles, right? Which is there in everything. Water, fruits, vegetables, salt, sugar, rice, milk, and beer. What else is left out? Everything has this microplastics. In fact, microplastics has been the recent research study that causes cancer in many of the individuals, which is at the alarming rise across the world. So what could be the other factors apart from whatever I've spoken? Yes, there are air pollution, right? From our, not only from the vehicles that we use, from the air conditioners we use, from the fridges that we use, from the industries around us, which, leaks gases or, contaminates the water by, excreting all the waste out into the river bodies, asbestos when you use, wood dust, rubber, plastics, agents, right? Dyes. When you eat outside foods, they contain all the agents, coloring agents, flavoring agents, which are all carcinogenic, majority of them. Then industrial waste. Physical. So when I say physical, it's ultraviolet radiation. When somebody is exposed to the sun for a very long time, right? When the radiation passes through the cell, they could do mutation to the cell and it can cause skin cancer. Then radiation, right? So if you go back, just ask your mother or your grandmother when they were pregnant, how many scans they would have done? No scan. But today, if any pregnant woman visits a clinic, every month we do a scan. X-rays, CT scans, MRI. So all these, the advanced technologies, though it is good, it has its own drawback. So when the radiations keep getting, entering our body, anytime it can cause mutation. So you might have a question. So do you mean that everybody who goes out in the sun will get? No, not everybody. Any few people whom the mutation can happen in the gene can encounter cancer. And then occupational hazards, right? There might be people who will be working in lead industry, chemical industries. They are more exposed for cancer risk. And then the last, but that is a more predisposing factor for cancer, obesity, right? Right now, we are all living a sedentary lifestyle. Many of us don't move out from the chairs or move out from the home. Our physical activity is very, very less when compared to our grandparents or even great grandparents, right? So what does this obesity does? Okay, so if I'm obese, am I going to get cancer? No, it's not like that. So we need to first check the BMI of us. How do we check the BMI? With our height minus 100 is a weight, height in centimeters. So if say somebody is 170 centimeters minus 100, 70. So he or she should be only 70 kgs, right? If you cross 70, you're slowly entering into obese, mild, moderate, and over obese. So what happens is, see, the body organs starts to get more overloaded, right? Say, for example, liver will start getting more amount of fat. So the liver expands and it becomes a fatty liver. Kidneys start expanding, right? The fatty liver, what it will do, it will slowly affect the pancreas. So what will happen? Insulin resistance will start coming down. So your diabetes, you will be entering type 2 diabetes. Once you enter type 2 diabetes, you will get cholesterol, BP, heart diseases, and predominantly over a period of time with obesity and stress, people will end up getting cancer. So just to, think about it, if any 90s, before that, the kids are there, we had usually televisions where we have to walk, go, change, and come. But right now, we are all sitting in one place and we are all doing everything, right? That's one of the major reason for the sedentary lifestyle. And another one picture which illustrates very clearly, we used to use only ride bicycles for 5 kilometers, 7 kilometers, even 10 kilometers. It ran on fat of our body and it saved the money. But right now, due to sophistication and luxury, we all use, car, two-wheelers, etc. Even people take a two-wheeler to just go to a 200-meter near shop, right? Why? Because that runs on money and makes us fat. People forget to walk, right? So we need to really look into all these things and think about how we can start changing. Walk a lot, right? Not just 10,000 steps. Keep moving around, right? Nearby shop, instead of ordering in a Zepto, just walk down, go get and come. Avoid outside foods, right? Try to avoid chemicals, try to avoid, sleep patterns, sleep delays, so that everything can be under control. So other reason is chemicals in adulterated food. So Gayatri, I think you can roll out the next poll. How many of you would, prefer snacks outside, fried foods, samosas, kachoris and other things?
Doctor, your slides are not changing. Slides.
Is it changed now?
No.
In which slide it is?
It's on first slide.
Oh.
And now it's changing.
Okay. Sorry, I kept it in screen. I didn't realize that. I'm sorry for that. Yeah. So chemicals in adulterated food, right? So I don't know how many of you are from native villages where you have banana farm, mango farm and all. When you bring banana and mango from that, and when you keep it in your house, it just takes, weeks together to ripen. Why? Because it is an unadulterated food. But today, morning, if you buy, banana and keep it on your dining table and go out locking your home to your workplace, and then night when you come home and open the door, you will get a banana smell, but that is a ripened banana, right? Within 24 to 48 hours, the bananas or the fruits that you buy, the purchase, will get ripened. How quick they are able to ripen. But when we bring from our farm, it doesn't ripen that fast, right? Why? Because they have been adulterated by chemicals adding on that. So when we consume that knowingly or unknowingly, we are inviting troubles for us. So coming to the types of cancer, there are 100 plus types of cancer, right? How do we majorly classify them plays a major role. We tell them as benign and malignant. So when I say benign, what does it mean? It is like a cat. You can keep it next to yourself. You can pat it. You can pamper it. You can do everything. But when it is malignant, it has converted into a tiger. So we don't go near to tiger. We can't touch it. We can't pat and pamper it, right? So every 1 in 4 deaths that happens is due to cancer. There are certain cancers which are specific to men, and there are certain cancers which are very specific to women, right? For example, lung and prostate is more common in men. Cervix and breast cancer is more common in women. So how does this cancer progress? I spoke about the division, and I also said, right, when there is a cell and instead of 100, if 1,000 have to be there, it forms a lump tumor. So what happens exactly is, as I said, genetically, if it happens, it's fine. But lifestyle disorders, how it happen, I will tell you. So we basically have inside our body 2 genes. One is called an oncogene and another one is called as a tumor suppressor gene. So from the name itself, it keeps the tumor suppressed. So always this gene should be switched on and oncogene should be switched off. When there is any mutation, what happens? The oncogenes will get switched on and the tumor suppressor gene will be switched off. So as soon as the suppressing thing is off, it starts growing, multiplying without any end, and it forms a cancer. So this is how the cancer progresses within the body first initially, and then it moves to the different parts of the body. So stages of cancer, when I say what are the stages? So first initially, it is just at one place where we call it stage 0, carcinoma in situ. In situ means it's in that place. And then stage 1 it is localized to the surrounding areas. Say, for example, if it is a, like any bone cancer, first it will be in one part of the bone, and then first stage will be it starts spreading across the bone. Stage 2 will be it will spread to the nearby lymph nodes. As I told you, nearby lymph could be in the neck, could be in the axilla, could be in the pelvic region. So it will slowly spread there. And then stage 3, where it comes is through the lymph nodes, it has already gone to chest wall or some other organ. And stage 4 is when the cancer is completely spread all over the body, right? So stage 0, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, we divide into 2, 3A and 3B. So until 3A, we can absolutely get a member cured of cancer. But when it crosses stage 3B and stage 4, then the prevention and the treatment and the survival of the member will be very less. So symptoms, when I say symptoms, many people think, like somebody will ask, somebody, if we hear somebody talking, this person so-and-so was recently diagnosed with cancer. The first question people will ask is, was there any weight loss? No. Okay, was there any hair loss? No. Then how come he was diagnosed with cancer, right? This is a generally, people's myth. That's again a myth. Hair loss and weight loss are not only the symptoms. So there are many other symptoms. So the word caution, if you split it, first C. C stands for change in bowel or bladder habits. Say if somebody had a very good bowel movement, right? Every morning they were able to, clear off all their waste from the body. Their urination habits was all perfectly fine. Then it's okay. But if you see a constant change, right? I say like, somebody who was having a normal, motions suddenly starts having loose motions, or there is a blood, certain things starts showing up as a sign. We ignore it. We think, okay, it could be normal. It will get on, after some time it will be treated. It will go on its own, or it could be due to body heat. There are many things people will say, but if you observe any symptom which is persistent for more than 2 weeks, don't delay it. Please show it to the doctor. Then A stands for a sore that does not heal, right? If you get any injury and if it doesn't heal at all, or if you say you suddenly see a mark and there is some wound which is not at all healing, so it doesn't have to be only diabetic, it could be even cancer. Then U stands for unusual bleeding or discharge. So women who is in your cycle generally regularly have a very neat cycle. All of a sudden there is a change in the cycle, right? You have to observe for 3 months, but in between, if you have unusual bleeding, unusual discharges, some smellings, even discharge from the nipples, then it is a sign that you need to meet your doctor. And then T stands for thickening or lump in breast or any part, right? So if in case you find a lump here, first it will be very small, tiny, that's okay. But then it will start becoming very thick and it will start growing in size. Then that is a sign that we have to go and meet the doctor. I'm just showing it here. It could be in any part of the body, right? It can be on your spinal back down before the anus. It could be on your thigh bone. It could be on your shoulder bone. It could be anywhere. And then I stands for indigestion or difficulty in swallowing. So somebody who has gastrointestinal tract cancer, could be in the stomach or in the food pipe or in the intestines, they will not be able to swallow the food properly. So that is a sign that something is wrong in the body. And then O stands for obvious change in a wart or mole. Suddenly you see a mole coming up, So when I say, people think, oh, I've got a mole here recently and it's looking good. Or if it comes here, they say, see above the lips, it's good. It is good, but it's not right. You should not get a mole all of a sudden, or you should not keep getting warts here and there. So warts is nothing but a skin that would have grown a very small, tiny growth, right? You find it in your feet or, on the sides of your ankle, sometimes on your eyelid. These are the places where warts come. So generally they are viral wart, but recurrently if they occur, then that's something wrong in the body. And then N stands for nagging cough or hoarseness. So what happens is, normally people cough, right? But, when people with throat cancer or, stomach cancer, when they cough, the cough will be having very hoarse. It will be very unusual cough. So if somebody has that symptoms, then we need to really look into it. It is not only weight loss and hair loss. These are also the changes that are symptoms for us to show the we need to take care of our body and go to a doctor to meet. So treatment, right? When I say treatment, people earlier days used to think if somebody says I'm diagnosed with cancer, okay, to which doctor did you meet? Okay, I will tell you another doctor, please go and meet him. You get to take a second opinion, third opinion, fourth opinion. No, right now it's all not like that. The cancer treatment is standardized across the world, that we call it standard treatment guideline. So what happens is in every hospital, there will be a tumor board of specialists, one medical oncologist, one radiation oncologist, and one surgical oncologist. They will sit, discuss, analyze, and then draft the treatment. So when I say medical oncologist, for each cancer, there is a set of drugs that has to be used. He cannot bypass that and give you any other drug. Same goes with the surgical oncologist and same with the radiation oncologist. So the treatments are more defined now and more precise, right? And then the second thing what we need is majorly the psychological support, right? We have to be in support for the member, because the good prognosis starts only from the positive mind, right? Medicines can help, but if a member mentally is not positive, right, if they become pessimistic or if they have negative thoughts constantly, the medicines would not much help them. So we need to have a very good psychological and emotional support for the member. So what are the side effects of the treatment, right? People might think, no, if I go for chemotherapy, that will happen, this will happen. Okay, let us just take a step back and think. You have a throat infection. Many of you will know, I will take azithromycin, right? Throat infection, throat pain, azithromycin. This azithromycin is an antibiotic which will not suit everybody. Few people will have loose motions. Few people will have, vomiting, nausea feeling. But for few people, it will be all right. Correct? Same thing goes with every antibiotic and every drug, right? Say, for example, if somebody is having an asthma or somebody is having BP, the first tablet you take, the doctor will prescribe and observe you. Why they ask you to come after 15 days is to check whether the medication has suited you. Why? Because it can have some side effects. So very normal tablets like, a small antibiotic, a BP tablet or a sugar tablet, if they can have side effect, chemotherapy are very strong drugs, right? They need to fight with this cancer cell to kill them. So obviously it will have its own side effects, right? You can have hair loss. You can have burning sensation of your skin. You can see the skin's really getting burnt and turning black. Allergies can come, nausea, vomiting can be there, loose stools can be there. Every chemotherapy after a session, the patient wouldn't be even able to get up for 1 or 2 days. But that's normal, temporary. And then the member will bounce back to normal on the 3rd or 4th day, depending on their immune levels, right? So this we need to understand. If somebody has been diagnosed, these are all things they will undergo, and we need to support them on these. So as I said, the common cancers is in men, it's prostate cancer, lung cancer, stomach cancer, and buccal oral cavity cancer. And in females, it's breast cancer, in predominantly urban India. And in rural, it's cervical cancer. Why urban India I specified for the breast cancer is because generally at today's rate, if you see, the women get, late married, and the child birth is also very delayed. So breast cancer is more common genetically. Aside also, if there is a delay, in lactating the baby at the right age. So if somebody is not lactated the baby before 30 years of age, then they have high chances of getting a breast cancer. So this is not something, a statement, but this is research scientifically proven. And even in the West, if you see UK, US and all, the girls, the ladies who don't get married before the 30, they undergo a hormone replacement therapy just to lactate the milk. So, the body understands that lactation is over, right? So this is more common in urban India, breast cancer, whereas in rural India, cervical cancer is more common because they are unaware of the cervical infections due to virus and, through sexual partners, what they get. So that is the reason cervical cancer is more common in females in rural India. So overall prevention, how do we prevent, right? So we all know that, as I told you, ensure you have a very good changed lifestyle and diet. So wake up early in the morning, sleep little early in the bed, maximum by 10:30. 1.5 hours before sleep, please put your mobile phones, gadgets, your social media away from you, right? Just make your room dark and then have a tight sleep, so that the next day morning when you get up, the body would have undergone the complete repair, right? Then another lifestyle what you need to do majorly is exercise and yoga, meditation, like that. So when I say exercise, it could be a cycling. So we are all not very fit persons, probably we are not gym persons. I'm not suggesting you all to go to the gym. Very simple, just go for half an hour to 45 minutes of a walking, right? You can go for swimming, you can go for any sports, you can go for jogging, you can go for cycling, right? These are all very moderate exercises. If nothing, you cannot go out, just do simple workouts, in the home morning. See, generally women have the tendency to tell that I don't have time. Yes, you will not have time until you take yourself as a priority, right? Take early morning, no, the whole family will be asleep, right? You don't have any calls, you don't have any messages or anything to look out. Just spend half an hour doing some exercise, some activity, so that the body is not in a sedentary lifestyle. And then yoga, meditation. So meditation, when I say, probably people might think, madam, you tell it easily, how will we do meditation? When I sit, I think about office, I think about personal things, financial things, etc. So the simple way is to just focus on our breathe, right? So if you just check, if you breathe through your right or left nostrils, you will come to know few might be breathing through right, few might be only breathing through the left nostril. So every half an hour once the breath changes. So when you focus on that, the concentration will be more, your mind will be slowly relaxed, calm and poised. So that is also one way of changing our lifestyle. When you wake up early, right, one day you start waking up early, automatically your body will ask you to go for a rest early in the night. So then that will become as a regular pattern, because what we are experiencing today is just only 20 to 30%. But what we are going to give to the next generation is complete 100%. So if our kids see us and learn us and, copy the lifestyle that what we are going to live, you think about their health, what they are going to have it in the next down 15 to 20 years or 30 years. Then coming to the food, right? So always when your food, ensure your 50% of your plate is green vegetables and fruits. 25% of your plate should be carbohydrates. 25% of your plate should be protein, right? If it's vegetarian, you need to take more amount of protein. So what you need to avoid, right? Which are the foods, that can cause obesity, that can cause you diabetics, metabolic syndromes, and cancer is, first, avoid anything that is refined flour, maida, right? Stop using that. Refined sugar, refined oil. I'm not sure how many of you women are here. Like we have a tendency, once if we use an oil for puri or some samosa or some whatever we prepare, we keep the oil, and after it is settled, we'll take that oil spoon by spoon for doing it for tadka, for on a dosa, or for making vegetables and for sauteing and all. Please avoid doing all of those, because once a oil is heated, it has already lost its properties and you're not supposed to reuse the oil. That will cause cancer, right? So what oils can be used? It's mustard oil, gingerly oil, coconut oil, or groundnut oil, right? We just think probably, madam, these oils are very costly. Costly in sense probably 100, 200 rupees. I would suggest, still say that it is better than spending 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs after a disease has come. Right. And then refined foods, anything that is refined, right? How many of us use wheat, many of us use rice, but they are not the original rice. They're all refined, polished rice, polished wheat, right? When you polish, you lose all the nutrients. So we need to be very mindful of what we are eating. Try to avoid as much as refined products in your diet. And then third, processed and packaged foods. So not only kids today, even today's elders use Lays, Kurkure, chocolates, all the packet, tinned foods, chilled items and all. Please understand they are all not good for the body. They are not supposed to be consumed. And this causes all the lifestyle disorders, and which might lead to cancer in the long run. So when you follow all these things, the diet modification, the lifestyle, 50% or 60% of yourself will become automatically healthy, and on a 6 months to 1 year down the lane, you will definitely be healthy. Then other thing what we need to do is go for a regular health checkup. So when I say this, in our country, when I see men, they are very, very, very selfish, but that is nothing wrong. They want to go for walking, they'll go. If they have to go for a health checkup, they'll go. If they have to meet a doctor, they will do it. But women in India, if in-laws are not well, we'll take them to doctor. If kid is not well, we will take them. Husband will take them. Parents will take care of. But to us, when it comes, we go with one Dolo, one Mox, one Azax. Everything is a self-medication. And we will ourselves say, no, 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 I will be all right. No, please don't do that. Right? Say if you have a car and you buy a new car, every 6 months once you give it for the service. Why? Because you want the engine to be smooth, and whenever you go for a long run, it should drive smoothly without any causing any hassle. Please note, this engine has to run for 70 to 80 years minimum, at least, or maximum 100 years. Then this mission needs to be followed as per the manual. 6 months once or 1 year once, please get yourself screened. Do the basic test, X-ray, ultrasound, mammograms, right? Pap smear test and all, and get yourself always, that makes you sure that, okay, I'm following the right path, I'm healthy, let me continue the same. And then we need to take vaccines, right? Now for cervical cancer, there's a vaccine. I'm not sure how many of the women or men here has taken this vaccine. It's not only for women, it's also for the men. And it's best to take when the boy or the girl is around about 9 years, within 15 years. So 9 to 15 years is the age bracket. At that time, it's only 2 doses. If it's crossed 15 years, up to 49 years, we can take it, but it will be 3 doses. Right? Women who have attained menopause doesn't have to take, but otherwise all the women and men have to take the cervical cancer vaccine. Same way we have for melanoma, we have for bladder, we have for prostate. These vaccines can be taken, but prostate cancer vaccine is something which is given after prostate cancer comes. It's not given before as a prevention, it's given as a treatment. So we need to, get ourselves updated and get ourselves fit into a regular healthy lifestyle wherein we might not encounter all these things. So vaccination, when I say, I'm not sure how many of you have taken COVID vaccines, right? Because there were a lot of news about the vaccine, that those who took vaccine got heart attack, stroke, coma, blah, blah, and all. I know that people who work has actually taken because you didn't have an option, but there would be some parents, some people in the house who would have not taken till now. Why? Because of the fear. So let's see what vaccination is, right? Vaccination is nothing but that organism, the virus or the bacteria, is just made, dumb, and then it's inserted into the body. So what happens? The body understands that there is a foreign organism, and it starts creating its soldiers to go and fight. So once the soldiers fight and kill the dumb organism, these soldiers will be stored in our memory cells, not here, but in the blood cells. There is something called as memory cells. So anytime in the future, if this visitor comes inside, the soldiers will be ready to go and attack. So that is what vaccination does. So it doesn't have any side effects, except for very few side effects, right? One, there would be a pain in the injected area, swelling could be there, redness could be there wherever the shot is given, right? So pain is very common after COVID vaccines. If people have taken, we all would have been like, having a very severe pain for 2 days on the hand, and we would have slept like anything because we had fever, high fever, right? So fever is very common. Dizziness or fainting, right? That can happen for very few people. Headache could be there. We might feel tired. We might have nausea or vomiting. The muscle pain would be there. But these are all only temporary, and this is not the permanent. So wherever you have to take the vaccines, please take it. This is not only for cancer, right? For flu, we have vaccines. For pneumonia, we have vaccines. For shingles, we have vaccines for elders. So whichever vaccine you are due at that age, you please take yourself after the health checkups are done under your medical guidance, right? So we can ensure that our health is in place. So final truths about cancer. Cancer is preventable. As I told you, till stage 3A, we can, if we have diagnosed it, it's very easy to cure. 70 to 80% can be cured. The incurable cancer is only, when it is in stage 3B or stage 4. And how do we prevent it? As I said, please do regular screening of the test. Note for the symptoms, caution, whatever I have told about. So if you observe any changes, don't delay. Just seek your medical advice, okay? Not the Google, because Google is not someone who has studied 5 years or, 10 years of their specialization. So it's a general thing. So please visit the doctor and get the correct guidance and the treatment so that we can be always healthy. Not only physically, mentally, emotionally, also we need to be healthy. So if any questions are there, you can ask.
Yeah, there are a lot of questions in chat box. I'll read it out.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So another question is, what about balanced diet? Having high carb and high fat at the same time.
Okay. So carb, when you have an high carb, I would tell you only when you are a, intense activity person, right? You hit your gym for 1 or 2 1.5 hours, and you do a lot of physical activity. Please take high carbs. Otherwise, don't take it, because excess carb, what will happen is it will be stored as a glycogen in the liver. And the excess glycogen needs to be utilized. So at least you should go for 1 day starving mode, right? When we don't do that, the liver gets harmed. It goes for a fatty liver, and then later it goes for a cirrhosis of the liver, that is liver failure. So when you go for high carbs, please ensure that you do adequate activity where the body can completely deplete the carbs that you have taken. High fat, what kind of fat you take is more important. You can take good fat, right? You should not supposed to take this, the trans fat, as I told you, reheated oils, or deep fried oils. Those are all not good fat. They are bad fat. Say if you're taking a egg yellow yolk, that's fine, you can take that. You can take nuts. These are all good things that you can consume, but don't consume the bad fat.
And then the other question is, I'm working in afternoon, like from 1:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. and reaching home around 11:30 p.m. So if I wake up at early morning around, then sleep time will be less. Is that okay?
Okay. So sleep time is less if I'm not sure on your age. If you are someone who is between, 20 to 40 years of age, 6 hours of good sleep is more than enough. So, if you reach by 11:30, I would request you to have the dinner at the office by 7:30 or 8. So as soon as you reach home, you can just hit the bed, and like you can get up morning 5:30 or 6. That's still okay. You don't have to get up at 4, as I told you, but you can still try to get up at 6. So when you have 6 hours of good sleep, sound sleep, you don't need more rest. Probably in the day, if you want, you can just go for a 20 minutes nap, just 20 minutes. Keep an alarm and you can go for that.
The other question is, are there any specific cancer marker tests that can be done along with the annual checkup? If so, please recommend for both men and women specifically.
Yes. So cancer biomarkers are there. They are just like regular blood test. You can just say CA125, CEA. So, these are all. CA91 is there, 19/9 is there. So basically, these are the biomarkers for each of the cancers. Say if CA99 is high, that means a member might have chances of lung cancer. Same way for CA125. CA125 will rise for stomach cancer, intestine cancer, uterine cancer. You can still take these biomarker tests, but the best option would be a CT, because rather than all these things, CT gives you a clear picture.
Then there's one more question. Can you specify the exact tests to be done for prevention and diagnosis of cancer?
Okay, so there is no exact test. As I told you, if you do regular test, right? So if there is any blood parameters which is abnormal, WBCs or your ESR or your CRPs, we can do further test. So what we need to look into is only the signs and symptoms that I have, as I've told you. See, weight loss could be there, hair loss could be there, but apart from that, there could be these things also, like change in the bowel, bladder, any discharge, bleeding from some sides. All these things could be there. So what we do generally is we first take a MRI or a CT, and then we go for a biopsy or an FNAC. So biopsy is the final, report that confirms if it's a cancer or not. Until then, it is not fully confirmed. It's all only this or that. But when biopsy comes, that's a final report.
Okay. Cancer recurrence post surgery is 100% or not?
No, it's not 100%. So as I told you, after the surgery, if radiation is required, you can take that based on the lymph nodes. The surgical oncologist and the radiation would have suggested you. But how do you take it forward is a major key. So you need to include a lot of antioxidants, right, in your food, like, black rice, green tea, kiwis, berries. When you take a lot of antioxidants, the chances of cancer recurring is very less. But again, the recurrence rate is also based on the stage when it was cured for you. So if it's in stage 3A or 3B, probably recurrence can happen, but it's not 100%, because there are cancer survivors who are, without recurrence for like more than 10, 15 years, 20 years also.
Should I take up the next question?
Yeah.
What to take care post cancer surgery? How to take care post cancer surgery? Does dairy products are harmful post surgery?
Okay. So dairy products, I wouldn't just label it that way. What kind of dairy products we use is the key factor. So, as I told you, probably when you use the packet milks, right, they are all injected with a lot of progesterone and chemicals. So that might not be the right choice, right? How you post take care is initial 1 year. Every 3 months, you have to visit your doctor, get yourself checked. And every 6 months, you have to take a CT or a scan. And then after 1 year, you can make it a 6 months once to visit the doctor and take a scan. After 3 years, you can take one PET CT scan to ensure that there is no spread or no recurrence or no relapse. And then after 5 years, you can go once. That's it. After that, every 5 years once, you can visit him. But every year, it's better to keep a check by doing a health checkup. So when you do the regular health checkup along with an additional test, like as I told you, cancer biomarkers, CT and all, would give you a better clarity picture. But the major thing is the food, diet, sleep. So, like yoga, doing yoga and meditations have proved that, the cancer patients are able to withstand the chemotherapy, radiation therapy, and post that also, they have a lot of, positive signs in the body. Because when you exercise, the melatonin or the dopamine or whatever is there secreting in your body for you, for your muscles and for your bones and for your health, that is getting streamlined. So, the body, when it is in check, it is not going to allow for the cancer to progress further.
There's one question. Any natural ways or Ayurvedic ways to treat cancer other than chemo or other treatment?
See, yes, there are, any medicine is definitely a medicine, right? It is not that, okay, being an allopathic doctor, I'm not going to tell that, no, that will not work, this will not work. But again, as I told you, it depends on the stage, right? If it's very stage 0 or stage 1 you have diagnosed, you can definitely go for Ayurveda, a Siddha, Homeo also. But if it's in a very later stages, the response or, the prognosis, outcome of the medicine from other alternative medicines is very less. It's like, taking a risk which we might regret later. So that would be the reason. But you can take side by side. After taking a chemo, you can go continue Homeo, continue Siddha, continue Ayurveda. That should not be a problem. But the thing is, only relying on that, because we don't have scientific, literatures to prove that it has been proven effective.
There's one query. My father sometimes says if eat spicy food, he says there's a blood in his stool. Whom should we consult? It comes up again and again.
Okay, so if the stools are getting blood after eating spicy foods alone, it could be irritable bowel syndrome also, right? We need to figure out. So you need to visit a gastrointestinal enterologist. So they will check first whether it's an IBS or is there something else. Because sometimes spicy food causes IBS and IBD also in the patients.
The last question. How do fake messages, contribute to anxiety about cancer, and how we can overcome that fake news thing?
Okay. So that we could not stop that, because WhatsApp University and Google University is more than medical universities. The only one thing is, it's better to rely on the medical practitioner, right? I can understand there would be some news is that this medicine has been discovered for this cancer. You can get it free in this institute, that institute and all. Please don't go by those. If something is there, it would be there in their websites, right? When we keep away from social media also, I think our 50%, I mean 90% of our life would be much better. So you can check from their concerned websites. Say if Tata Memorial Institute, you can go to Tata Memorial Institute and check it if it's genuine or not. And as such, there is no drug that has been discovered for one particular cancer, because as I told you, it is involving genes. So we don't know which gene will behave how, when, right? So humans are not that advanced to find out when it changes. It's all under the pipeline. It might take at least another 5-10 years for humans to come out with that.
I think it's quite enough. Like, yeah, we are done with the questions.
There are questions. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone. And that's a wrap for today's session. And thank you, Dr. Hamsa. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.
Thank
It's
you.
such an eye-opening discussion. And I'm sure everyone's leaving with a lot of more confidence and clarity about how we can take care of our health and reduce, cancer risk.
Yeah.
So to everyone who joined us today, thank you for being part of our Wellness Wednesday webinar. And if you would like to stay updated on future sessions and health and wellness insights, anything around cancer, also if you have any queries and such that, so don't forget to follow us on our social media pages. You can also visit us on www.onsurity.com to explore more about what we do and how we can support your well-being journey. And once again, thank you for attending. We'll see you soon for the next wellness.
Yeah, thank you, Gayatri, and thank you for everybody who has attended. I hope this session was useful for us, all of us, and I hope you people will implement at least one by one step so that you lead for a very healthy life.